Everyone's talking quarterback this offseason, but is Damari Alston ready to fill Jarquez Hunter's shoes? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for making us one of your sports listens today. Joining me, as he does every single week, is my good friend Jacob Goins, host of On the Line Sports Talk on ESPN 106.7. Jacob, today we're going to talk about the run game and what that will mean for Auburn potentially in the SEC arms race. But let's start with the guy we all know his name. His name is Damari Alston. He is the clear heir apparent to Jarquez Hunter, who was selected in the 4th round of the NFL draft by the Rams. Jarquez was the second leading rusher in the conference, and it felt like nobody was talking about it because Auburn lost so many games last year. 1,200 yards at 6.4 yards per carry are big shoes to fill if you're Damari Alston. I think he's got the talent. I have questions about ball security. What your initial thoughts here on Damari Alston stepping in for Jarquez Hunter?
Well, I think we have to limit our expectations, and that's normally a negative thing. It has a negative connotation to it, but Jarquez Hunter was so good. He was so good, and he was also underused, Mike. I mean, he's somebody who could have had even more yards, even more carries, even more touchdowns. But Auburn didn't use him the way that they should have each and every game. The Kentucky game was a perfect example of how good Jarquez Hunter could be. Would that have been a legitimate expectation in every single SEC game? No, probably not. But something like that where you realized, hey, if you give Jarquez Hunter the football, he was going to do good things. And so even with an offense that didn't operate properly and some questionable coaching decisions at times, he still put up incredible numbers. I say all of that because it's hard to expect Damari Alston to do that. But I expect him to be very good, and I expect him to be a similar type of back who's put on some size. He's fast as lightning. He can compete and be an RB1 in the SEC, but I do think it's okay, Mike, to have the expectation for the running back room to have a good year, because I think it's going to be running back by committee. I don't think Damari is going to be just the guy who carries it 85% of the time. Okay. I think you have brought in several dudes, whether they're coming back or through the transfer portal or in your high school recruiting, to make this a running back unit rather than just one guy, whether it is Jeremiah Cobb, who I think needs to touch the football this year. It could be Alvin Henderson, who came in as the best running back in the history of Alabama high school football, or Darrell Robinson, the guy from UConn. I mean, you have several dudes who you can use in different situations rather than doing what Auburn always does, which is just find one good one and run him into the ground to where he can't walk the next day.
Yes, touche, my friend. Certainly, we don't want to see that on the Plains. Don't run him into the ground. I got flashbacks of Kerryon Johnson when you said that. But look, again, we're talking about the hole that Jarquez Hunter leaves, 6.4 yards per carry. For reference for our listeners, that was the 1,201 yards was the 23rd best rushing performance on the season last year. But of the people, the 22 guys in front of him, only 3 guys averaged more yards per carry than Jarquez Hunter. And that was Ashton Genty, RJ Harvey, and Giddens at K-State. 6.6, 6.8, and 7 yards per carry. Jarquez came in at 6.4. If you're Damari Alston, Hugh Freeze talks a lot about, I don't look at total yard. I look at how effective we are when we run. Mm-hmm. This is what he says in press conferences when we ask him about the run game. Were you happy with the run performance? Well, what did we average per carry? And that was his yes or no there. It was just that. I got to imagine, though, as Jackson Arnold is concerned, you want your running backs to carry this load, because the last couple of years, Peyton Thorne has been in the triple digits in rushing attempts. And I don't think that that's where Hugh Freeze wants to be running his quarterback that much. And so, the effectiveness of the running backs to be able to just break tackles, get to the second level, have a quick first step is going to be a key in making sure you can limit the amount of rushes that your quarterback has to take.
Well, it's funny you bring up the press conferences because so many times Hugh Freeze would be asked the question, well, what's the game plan going in against this particular defense and how much you want to throw the ball and how much you want to run the ball? Or how many times did you want to throw the ball and run the ball and how many did you actually? And he said, he admitted, he was like, we don't really have a number. We don't have a specific amount that we want to do because they run so much RPO, because there's so many changes within the game plan, within the play, at the line, in the situation, right? And so you mentioned that, and that kind of sparked what he was talking about last year. And I expect that to be kind of the same this year. But to your point, in terms of a running quarterback with Jackson Arnold or Deuce Knight or whoever it may be, you want them to have the ability to do it. You just don't want to rely on it all the time. If Jackson Arnold is the guy who ends up winning the job, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of design quarterback runs for Jackson Arnold for two reasons. One, that's not his specialty. And two, right, you don't really want him getting hurt, right? And so you want him to have the ability to escape if the pocket breaks down, if the play is busted, if the defense gets you right, if they got you that play, okay, take off, get 5 or 6 yards, don't lose yards, don't fumble the ball, things like that. But you want the running back room to be able to pick up 4, 5, 6 yards every time they touch the football, because then you're working in second and medium, third and short, possibly fourth and inches and things like that. Or you're just picking up first downs and you're doing this crazy thing of moving the football down the field, moving the chains and keeping drives alive. Auburn's got to find a way to get out of this 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. It's not a mindset. It's just a reality that Auburn has been stuck in for so long. It's defense makes a big play. They get off the field. Here comes the offense. And they go 3 and out and they punt it away. And all momentum is shot. Running the football helps you get out of that rut. Picking up that first down. Hugh Freeze comes from that era. When you pick up the first one, everything opens up and they take off down the field. Auburn has to do that. And it starts by running the football no matter who it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. The age-old debate by fans of should we have run it on first down or should we have passed it on first down? Yeah. Either way, you got to be ahead of the chains on first down in this offense, or a lot of things don't work. And it puts a lot of pressure on other areas of your offense, i.e. Jackson Arnold's legs when things are off schedule, or his arm to be able to make forced throws if nothing's there because you're behind the chains. Look, and we've seen this play out before. Again, a lot of the talk is about quarterback, but the best aspect of this team offensively for the last couple of years has been the run game. It's been Jarquez Hunter. It's been those guys back there, Damari Alston backing him up. Now, Damari in particular, like you said, we don't think that he's going to be a workhorse back. We think it's going to be running back by committee. That's where Jeremiah Cobb comes in, the young man. I think Auburn was pretty clear how they felt about Jeremiah Cobb because they found him opportunities no matter what. Right. And I'll be interested to see if they find the same opportunities for Alvin Henderson, another young man they really like that's coming in there. But talk to me about Jeremiah Cobb. He is a shifty guy. He's got good speed and he's an underrated pass catcher.
Yeah, and somebody that you're not going to line up and just turn around and hand the football off to Jeremiah Cobb and expect him to run between the tackles. That's just not who he is. You don't need that. You've got guys like that, Damari Alston, Robinson, even Alvin Henderson could be that as well. Jeremiah Cobb is not that. He's best when he's out in space. I compare it to what we saw with Anthony Schwartz when he was a receiver at Auburn. He wasn't somebody that you would throw a 50-50 ball up for and hope that he came down with it. You just wanted to get him the ball and get out of the way and let him do his thing because Anthony Schwartz was one of the fastest guys on the planet. Jeremiah Cobb isn't that type of speed, but he's got good speed and his elusiveness and just his IQ of when the ball is in his hands, he knows where to go. He knows how to follow blocks. He finds the open space with the football in his hands. That's what Auburn has to take advantage of this year. And rather than running up the middle, spread it out a little bit, spread that defense out, make them cover more ground side to side rather than front to back. And when you do that, it's just simple football. You open it up side to side, it's going to open it up in the middle as well. So you can do this thing by committee by getting Jeremiah Cobb on sweeps or dumping it off to him, giving him blocks, pulling everybody to one side and throwing it back to him on the other. There are so many options that you can do to use Jeremiah Cobb and get him the football. You can throw it, you can toss it, you can hand it, you can do whatever. He has to have the football in his hands. It will open things up. It will allow you to run the football up the middle, and it also will get people going one-on-one on the outside, and you get to use those fancy receivers. And so, look, our buddy Daryl Dapprich talked about this last year on how Jeremiah Cobb was key to this offense. I think he will be again this year. He has to touch the football.
Yeah, I agree. He does have to touch the football. How much does he have to touch the football? And how many yards does it have to produce for Auburn to be successful in their 2025 campaign? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamala grills. Spring is here. You want to be outside with the family making memories around the Golden's Cast Iron grill, or just staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Get your weight up with Golden's Cast Iron. Also, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever else you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Our guy Richard dropping a little something special in there for everybody who uses that code REPORTER. We appreciate him for sponsoring the segment. And our Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. If you're in the Auburn, Opelika area, or if you live in Columbus, Phoenix City, visit them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I, in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's on Highway 431, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College and next door to the Renfro's and Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault helping keep the community fresh. Guys, if you're watching this, do us a favor and support the channel. If you're in the comments, hit that super thanks button. We appreciate everybody for continuing to support the work that we're doing. SEC Media Days is coming. I'm going to be there. Jacob's going to be there. Lots of great coverage coming from Atlanta this year. The run game, Jacob, look, 1,200 yards from Jarquez Hunter last year. Not bad. As a matter of fact, Jarquez, when you look at what he was able to do was actually kind of remarkable. You mentioned his usage rate not being what it could have been at 6.4 yards per carry. It was really hard trying to understand why Auburn didn't run him more. I don't think they can afford to make that same mistake, especially if Damari Alston averages better than 5 yards per carry. Looking at the running back room, not a ton of carries there for Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb. As a matter of fact, combined, those young men just over 80 carries, which is on the season. For reference, I want to talk about a little bit about how underutilized the run game was last year. Of all the backs that got drafted, Jarquez Hunter had the fewest carries of all the backs that got drafted. And it's crazy to me because 187 carries, I talked about this over at Locked On UCF with RJ Harvey, another underutilized back, 6.8 yards per carry. And UCF somehow only gave him the ball 232 times. That was the lowest amount of carries for backs that had ranked in the top 10 in yards in all of the country last year. He had the fewest, but the only person that was better than him every time he touched the ball was Ashton Jeanty. I think Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb have to be stars this year. And I think that means Damari Alston has to be a 1,000-yard rusher. I think that you need Jeremiah Cobb somewhere in the 500 to 600-yard range, averaging over 5 yards a carry. Like, what do you see for this run game? Auburn total 1,900 yards rushing as a team. I think that number needs to be closer to like 2,800 next year.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to run the football. And it's so crazy because in this new, and I put that in air quotes, new era of college football where everybody thinks it's about scoring 60 points a game, throwing for 5,000 yards, and just trying to legitimately outscore your opponents. People forget that all of that still starts by running the football. And let's not forget what Auburn was built on all those years ago. It's running the football. There's been one thing that Auburn football my entire life, Mike, and I'm sure you could say the same. They've always been able to run the ball. Have we had the best quarterbacks consistently? No. Have we had the best receivers consistently? No. But we've always had good running backs and have always been able to run the football.
Yeah.
And that idea hasn't gone anywhere. It's actually coming back. If you look around college football, people are slowing down and putting more value per play rather than let's just see how many plays we can get in. People are starting to put a little bit more value per play again. And I think that's where Auburn has to live this year. And I expect the offensive line to be better as a whole. But run blocking clearly wasn't an issue last year with Jarquez Hunter and even when Damari Alston got in. You did mention, however, earlier the fumbling issues with Damari. That has to get cleaned up. Auburn cannot put the football on the ground this year. Goes for Jackson Arnold, throw into the wrong team. You can't have that happen. We saw how it literally lost Auburn games last year, which is why turnovers are such a big deal. You don't think it is, but then all of a sudden you look back and it's like, well, if Auburn doesn't throw a pick six, or if Auburn doesn't fumble this punt return, or if Auburn doesn't drop that pass, or whatever the case may be, those things come back to get you. So if Auburn and Damari Alston can limit the turnovers and just continue to churn out yards and churn out plays, Auburn's offense is going to be really, really dangerous because then teams have to respect the run. They have to prepare for the run. They have to game plan for the run. And then you get to use all those fancy receivers that you have, your Cam Coleman's, your Perry Thompson's, your Eric Singletons of the world. Then you can let them go one-on-one and just absolutely eat because the linebackers are crashing in trying to stop Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and whoever else. And so it's the core of what Auburn wants to do. I understand that last year we wanted Jarquez Hunter to touch the football more because of his yards per carry average. It was insane. But you can't run one guy to death. That's why I'm saying Auburn has a running back by committee. You have several guys who you can run this year. I don't care if you run the ball 10 times in a row. If it works, don't stop until they prove that they can stop it. That's such a big thing in sports, especially in football. Until they prove that they can stop it, keep going at them. I don't care if it's Jack State. I don't care if it's Alabama. If they can't stop the run the ball. Hugh Freeze had this issue where he wanted to throw. He admitted in a press conference, and this isn't bad, just saying he told us he had to stop himself because even though a run game was working, I can't remember which game he was talking about. The run game was working, but he just wanted to throw the ball. His instincts were like, we have to throw it. We haven't thrown in 5 or 6 plays. We need to do it. And he had to stop himself from doing that. I don't care if you run it 20 times in a row, Mike. If they don't stop it, run the ball. It's simple. The fans were cheering it at the Oklahoma game, and I'm going to cheer it right here on this podcast. Run the ball, and until they stop it, don't stop it.
Yeah, I agree. Just run the damn ball. I mean, that
literally.
Just run the damn ball. I will say this in Hugh Freeze's defense, it is very difficult to commit to the run when you get behind the chains and you're playing from behind. So when you look at the statistics of like the run pass ratio in the first quarter, they're usually pretty balanced. Auburn gets behind and then suddenly it's all out of whack and you're slinging the ball all over the place just trying to keep up. So unless your offensive line can just get up there and just smash and open holes so that you can gain yards in the run game, even when they know it's coming, Jacob, then it's going to be really difficult. They're going to have to lean on creative play calling to keep teams off balance and make the run game more effective. It's a chess match between offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator out there. Like are they going to run? Are they going to pass? Right? And can we stop it? I think it's part of what made the 2010 Auburn Tigers so dangerous, right? Was you knew they were going to run it. You knew exactly what Cam was doing, and nobody could stop it. All season long, nobody could stop it. The only team that came close to stopping them was Alabama for about 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, that's about right. Yep, that's about right.
And then Cam still pulled that one out. He was just the unstoppable force. But that offensive line was one of the most senior offensive lines in the country that year, and they play a big role in this. Next week, you and I will sit down and we'll talk offensive line and about what Auburn needs up front to continue to be able to get up there. But give me a prediction before we get out of here. Where do you see Auburn landing in total yardage? As I mentioned, as a team, they rushed for 1,900 yards last season. In the SEC, that 1986 was good for 7th in the conference in rushing. Just ahead of them, Alabama at 2,200. A couple of teams there in the 2,300 yard range. And the best teams in the conference rushing were Texas A&M, 25-45, and the Tennessee Volunteers. They had the conference's leading rusher in Dylan Sampson. They rushed for 2,936 yards as a team. Auburn, in my book, it might sound lofty, but I think they need to be in the 2,800 yard range next season if Hugh Freeze wants to have the type of year that he needs to have. That's 8 wins. What do you see here for them? I want to also add, Jacob, they averaged 4.9 yards per carry as a team. So while Jarquez was very dynamic, every time he touched the ball, the rest of the team brought that average down significantly.
Yeah, and 28's a lot, but I get where you're coming from. And if Auburn gets to that number, then this offense is going to be ridiculous. But I'm saying 24 minimum. I think if you can get to 2,400 yards, that's with 3 guys carrying the rock and Damari being, nearly half of that, then I think you feel pretty good, because I do expect Auburn to still throw the football, and it's going to be hard not to if Jackson Arnold or Deuce Knight can become what you want them to be, and you have all those fancy receivers out there to play with. They want to throw the ball, and there's going to be big explosive plays. There's going to be 2 and 3 play drives because Auburn lets it fly and has big play potential. But I think you still start everything by running the football. I think Auburn gets to 2,400 yards. You'll see the wins that you want, so that'll be my prediction. We'll say 2,400 with Damari Alston getting almost half of it.
2,400, and Damari Alston is 1,000-yard back. I love that for Hugh Freeze in year 3. Yep. But we'll see where they land. Jacob Goins, I want to thank you for joining me as always. Before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Yep, every single day in the Auburn-Opelika area, Monday through Friday on ESPN 106.7. That's 106.7 on your radio dial, or ESPNAU.com on the line. We're talking all things Auburn. Transfer portal still going, football, basketball. Check it all out, ESPNAU.com.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash that super thanks button in the comments after the video. That's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, as I mentioned, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.